a clip went viral that that had a constituent in Bonner County address at a public hearing the commissioner, the county commissioners there, with some complaints. So we're going to play this clip. It's rather amusing, but watch as one of the commissioners stands up for constitutional rights and free speech. So let's watch this clip.
President Bowman, for the record. So at the last business meeting, our freedom of speech was cut off by you, Chairman Ahmet. And I just wanted to bring that truth out. It's just truth. It's not a derogatory thing. It's just something that happened. And our freedom of speech is being constantly chipped away and attacked and restricted by you. This is just fact. Every single week there's a new little speech or something about how, you know, you're the chairman and we're going to do it your way and all this stuff. But I'm going to bring in Samuel Adams here because I think he was a wonderful founding father. And he said, very few have fortitude enough to tell a tyrant that they are determined to be free. I am determined to be free, and I do have the fortitude, and I know there are very many with me on that. So one of the things that I want you to know is that even though it is very few that stand up at these meetings, our founding fathers still got it done, and that's why we have a free country right now, or it's kind of semi-free. We have folks like you that manipulate and maneuver. No, you're going to let me speak. No, stop. I said a word, and it's okay. It's okay. Just calm down. Okay, so I'm going to finish.
And Mrs. Bowman, that is your warning, and if you do so again, I will ask you to take your seat.
What did I do? What did I do?
To say manipulate following that?
Okay, did you not manipulate? Have you not done that? You have done that. I'm speaking truth. The truth does hurt. It also sets us free. Okay? So one of the things that I want to talk about as far as freedom of speech, again, it is not our Constitution that gives us freedom of speech. It guarantees it. What gives us freedom is God and God's law. Okay? God is what gives us freedom. It's not the Constitution. And so when you disrespect our freedom to speak, first of all, you disrespect all of the people that fought and died to protect that. That's the first thing you disrespect. The second thing you disrespect is God's law. And I can tell you right now, God's law is going to come snapping back to you like a gigantic rubber band, and it's not going to be fun for you. So you can pound your gavel and you can shut off public comment. You can do all of these things. But God's law is going to come back and snap you, okay? And I'm just warning you of that. It isn't something that we, the people, have to do. It's something that will be done. And you will reap what you sow. You will both reap what you sow.
Thank you, Mrs. Bowman. Mr. Dan Welly, and just a comment for you, Mrs. Bowman. In my 23 years in uniform, I didn't see either of you. I never saw you by my right or left.
I'm sorry, but what has to not happen in this...
No, you weren't, Mr. Rose.
What has to happen is the community giving us comments that we may not like to hear. And I will tell you, I sat through you letting a whole train wreck of people come and say actual things that weren't honest. And you use this statement of, legal told me that you have to accept that because you're elected. When someone uses a word that you don't like, you're interrupting their time and intentionally not giving them back their time on the clock. That's not appropriate. And then you literally in this meeting, and this will be the second meeting in a row where you have gone after a member of the public. So use what you used against me when I sat here and heard it all. You don't have a right to say that to her. You're an elected official. And so this is 2024, so change it. You don't like what she said. So maybe you schedule a meeting with her and ask her, how do you change that perception that she has of the work you're doing? Not that you attack her, because I'll tell you, not everybody served in the military, but there's a lot of people that serve our country in other ways. And so to go after people in this meeting because you have a gavel and a microphone is not appropriate for this setting. I don't care what the paper says. I don't care what rule you're going to say. What you just did wasn't fair to her as you interrupted her for using an adjective you didn't agree with. So act the way that you want people to act, and it works out on its own. But what you just did is not appropriate to Mrs. Bowman. And I don't need a comment from you about it.
Wow, folks. That is an elected official standing up for you, standing up for the First Amendment. Incredible. And calling out her colleagues on the board. I had the distinct pleasure of talking with Commissioner Asia Williams of Bonner County about this incident and about her role on the commissioner. We have that interview. I want to set it up for you here. And then we'll wrap it up right after. But we're going to go into a little bit of overtime today. The Super Bowl went into overtime yesterday. We're getting a little bit of overtime today. So let's watch this interview with Commissioner Asia Williams. Please enjoy. Okay, it is my pleasure to bring on Bonner County Commissioner Asia Williams. Asia, welcome to the program. We just watched a clip of you defending free speech, the First Amendment rights of constituents who are speaking at your meeting. Not to dive into the specifics of what was going on at that particular meeting, because it sounds like that this might just be a common occurrence at boards across the state and the country. But to see an elected official stand up for the First Amendment like this was unfortunately pretty rare. So I wanted to have you on to kind of discuss your mindset and what you've been encountering during your time in this position. So welcome to the program.
Thank you. It has been a significant battle for free speech across our country, not just here in Bonner County. And one of the things that our residents is involved. And that's one of the things that I ran on as commissioner, is to involve the community in local government. With that, we have a lot of people that come, they listen, they hear what's happening in local government, and they want to participate. And it doesn't mean we like what everybody has to say. And I always say that free speech is not to protect that which we want to hear. It's actually for what we don't want to hear, because that's where we really need that right. And our community has stepped up to the plate and taken their rightful position in front of elected officials. We often look to elections and look at the presidency as the most important function in our country. But in my opinion, it is actually local government. What we do in local government impacts you every single day, almost instantly. In Idaho, we don't give up our sovereignty for those that we elect to run our government. And the way we can maintain free speech is by participating meaningfully in our local government. And that is what I ran on, and that's what I stand for, is my voice, your voice. Our residents of Bonner County, state of Idaho, and across the country need to join the fight for free speech. This is one of the last vestiges, it feels like, in our county and in our country. It's not just specific. You'll see that if you go on Twitter and various social media, people across this country are tuning in to what's happening at Bonner County. This is a fight for what is in our Constitution. And it shouldn't be that there's only one and it's new. It should be that this person isn't, and that's what we need to report on. And that is very frightening to know that statistic, because we agree over here in Bonner County that the way in which our country has gone, it's to silence the people and remove them from their rightful position in front of elected officials. I am a leader, but I am not your leader. I am a representative, and my job is to represent. And I cannot represent you appropriately if I don't listen to you, if I don't hear what you have to say, which has nothing to do with whether I agree with it or not. And that's what we need to start demanding for people that take these elected positions.
Wow, well put. What a treat! What a blessing that you are in the position you are up there in Bonner County. I'm also happy to say up there in Bonner County. I'm in Kootenai County, and so there's only two more counties north of us here, but North Idaho strong for sure. So when it comes to your relationship with your fellow commissioners, there's two other commissioners on your board. When it comes to that relationship, what do you think? And I don't want you to get into their mindset, but how has it been? Working alongside folks who seem to be in opposition to your opinion on this matter.
I think it makes it more visible to the community, and even for people like you to see, because you see the difference of what does it mean to represent someone, and it makes people start questioning, am I really being represented by government? And so I don't like that it's so uncomfortable on that board with people that are so anti-public, anti-free speech. But in some ways, we learn our best lessons through things like what's happening in Bonner County. And what I can say positively, although I walk in the county building and it is a tough building to walk into, but when you look out at the landscape of the people that are looking at Bonner County and the fight for the right to be present and to be heard, that is very heartwarming. And it's actually the direction our country needs to take back. What I try to always tell people, it's, we come and go, but if the fabric of our county doesn't maintain with a people that expect free speech, that they expect to be able to participate, we have lost way more than we'll ever recover. Once we lose that freedom, it's not going to get returned. When you look at national, laws, and you look at other countries, they don't value free speech the way we value free speech. In fact, you're seeing a movement towards people trying to say, if you say this, it's a hate crime. If that is a slippery slope to go on. And so what it is, it's just pulling the fabric of free speech out. I have to listen to people say all kinds of things I don't like, and I have to make decisions. But what I will never do is say you don't have the right to stand up and say something that I don't want to hear. That is not free speech, and we cannot afford to lose it, because once we lose it, we will never receive that right back.
Amen. Amen. Okay, well, one final question here, because when people do show up to these meetings, and we've seen, very varying degrees of ideology and opinions that come up at different boards. The school board, the West Bonner School District, had its own controversy a few months back over the summer and such. But when people do speak up and speak out, are you finding that there is a double standard in the way some elected officials are treating those, or do you think that they're being consistent?
There is no consistency. I actually, let me change it. There's consistency in that it is favoritism of what side you're speaking on. So I guess it is consistent. And I think that's also something, it's causing the division within the community. I do what's called commissioner chats in the morning, where I bring in someone that's critical to our infrastructure as a county, whether that be our prosecuting attorney, who was my guest yesterday. But if you look at that meeting, that's a fantastic meeting. And it is filled with people from both sides, the people that say I don't like Asia, people that say I do like Asia, but they all come together to get that information. It is very difficult to sit, in my position where I'm like, I literally saw you post that commissioner chats aren't good on Facebook, but yet you're at my chat to ask a question. So it is valuable. I think that we have to start, I don't care what your politics are. It has to do with following the guidelines that we set forth. And for Idaho specifically, I'm sure you've heard that a lot of people feel like we're the last stronghold of freedom and following the Constitution. And as we come into an election year, we need to hold people accountable for that fabric, because the senators and representatives, they're away from you. You can come and see me every single day, all day. And so you need to make sure that I'm doing what you expect me to do. And in part, it doesn't matter what side you're on. And I said this yesterday in yesterday's meeting. We had an unfortunate event where the two commissioners wanted to civilly arrest a citizen. And I spoke out against it. And I specifically said, it doesn't matter what side you're on. You don't want this happening. It doesn't matter. We need to stop drawing the lines. And in a lot of Idaho, for drawing the line in our own party, you don't really need liberals and Democrats to deconstruct us. We're exploding from the inside out. But when you're sitting in a meeting and I'm telling you someone is being arrested and nobody told you why, everyone should be screaming, nope, so that I can make an informed and educated decision. We shouldn't be making a decision, well, they're on the other side, so I don't care. Because that's how politics and politicians strip us of our rights, is they cause that division and they get people to support something. And we have to start doing our job of holding people accountable regardless of their political positions.
All right. Once again, well put. Thank you so much for joining us, Commissioner Williams. I wish you the best of luck up there, and I thank you so much for not only defending in your position, defending the First Amendment, but for running in the first place. I mean, it really inspires folks to get up who believe in the same things you do and get involved. So I thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope we can check back in under some better circumstances. But we know you're fighting the good fight. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys reaching out.
Okay, great. All right, we'll be back right after this.
Spending this money surplus, which is not a surplus, it's an overcharging of the taxpayers.